trying to give you new skills. So the word of the day is direct and indirect characterization. You kind of can't talk about one without talking about the other. So let's just clarify. Before you look at anything else, look at the first sentence, because we need to clarify what characterization is before we talk about indirect and direct. So in a story, characterization is honestly insanely important. In my opinion, characterization is what makes a story interesting. Because if you have characters who basically aren't developing, like they're not growing and changing and they're having experiences, then what's the point of having a story? Like, that's what makes stories interesting for me, is to see how like characters start out one way in the beginning and by the end have gone through some stuff and they end up kind of being different, just like us as humans, right? Like, we kind of have characterizations, except it's just called growing up. So think of characterization as growing up, right? So that being said, there's some kinds of characterization. So when you have direct characterization, this is when the author straight up tells you about the character. So I have an example from a past year in there, but somebody shout out a random name. I'm going to show you how direct characterization works. Shout out a name.
Jack.
Okay, so we would be like, this is Jack. Somebody make up something about Jack. Jack what?
Short.
Jack is short, okay? So that we've already started direct characterization. Somebody tell me something that Jack likes doing, something random. Say again. Jack, so this is Jack. Jack is short, and Jack likes playing tennis, and somebody tell me something weird Jack likes doing. There we go. Jack likes licking his toe or something. There we go. That is direct characterization. I directly told you about Jack. And so here's the deal. Say again. Yeah, well, except of doing the Jack example, like, make up your own. You could be like, this is Bob. Bob has a lot of nostril hair. Bob really hates his brother. And Bob really likes eating the middle part of Oreos, right? Like, that's direct characterization. So just make it up in your U-Try box, but don't turn it in yet, because there's part 2. Now, here's the problem with direct characterization. A little bit is totally okay. Especially at the beginning of the story. It makes a lot of sense that you're setting up your character. But if you're only doing correct characterization, it does get boring, because you're just being too no duh kind of, right? It's like in your face, like, this is Bob and this is all what Bob does, and you're treating the reader like an idiot, basically, if you do too much direct characterization. So I don't want you thinking you can't do any. You definitely can have some. It just shouldn't be too much. Okay, now go to the second slide, because this is one where you cannot talk about one without talking about the other. So this should be the only thing on your screen. We're now going to talk about indirect characterization. This should be the only thing on your screen, guys. Okay, so, in my opinion, indirect characterization is more interesting because this is where we're still getting to know a character, but it's a little bit more subtle, okay? Like, we're getting to know the character without it being in our face. Like, this is Bob, and Bob has stinky elbows, right? Like, we're learning about the character through their thoughts, or their feelings, or their actions, or their relationships with other characters, or we're learning about them because of what they say, or how they say it, or what they look like. And it's usually a little bit more interesting because we're leaving a little bit up to the reader. We're giving them, it's almost like giving them clues, or like having a trail of breadcrumbs, and we're giving them these ideas, and they have to kind of get to know the character. So, for example, I've been reading my favorite murder mystery for like the 4th time because I really love the whole series. And the detective in that story, he's a pretty complex character. So to see it's called a character arc, to see how he changes over the series, there's like 8 books so far, is really, really cool. At the beginning, we get direct characterization, like you learn, okay, so this is Cormoran, he's the detective. He's a war hero. He got his leg blown off in Afghanistan. So that's some stuff that's directly told to the reader. But there's so much really cool indirect characterization. So, like, for example, the character that he just met in the story is a lady who we kind of figure out that she kind of doesn't understand social cues. Like, she doesn't understand how to work within society in a normal way. And Strike, or Cormoran is his name, he's really, really overly kind to her. And so that's not anything that's like told to us. Like, Strike is really nice to this lady. We just figured that out. And what does that maybe what would that tell you about a character? Like if they're...
That they're a good person.
Yeah, exactly. And that should seem like a no-brainer, right? And that is indirect characterization. That we are getting to know a character through how that character deals with situations or with other characters. And we're not just being told it. Because if we were just, if that author was just like, hey, this is Cormoran, he's a detective, he's really nice, it's nowhere near as interesting as seeing it happen. And so that's a really common phrase you'll hear in creative writing. Look at the second sentence, guys. In creative writing, it's a really common piece of advice to be like, hey, you should show stuff about your story. Don't just tell the reader everything. And that's what that means, is we're trying to lead the reader to stuff by showing them things rather than just telling them. So, to help you out with your U-Try box, I'm sorry, I know some people love Frozen, some people hate it, but this does a good job using Frozen as an example of indirect characterization.
Is the way that the writer reveals the personality of the character. Even though this is a literary term, it can demonstrate its use using the movie Frozen. Characters are revealed through direct characterization and indirect characterization. Direct characterization tells the audience the personality of the character is. A great example of this is the patient boy and the quiet girl were both well-mannered and did not disobey their mother. Here the author is directly telling the audience the personality of the two children. The boy is patient and the girl is quiet. Characters will also be revealed through indirect characterization. This type of characterization actually shows things that reveal the personality of the character. There are 5 different methods of indirect characterization. Looks, speech, relationships, action, and thoughts.
Say again. Yeah, you're good. This excuse you, so no problem at all.
With her hair messy and all of sorts. What does her appearance tell us about her character? I'd say she's very carefree because she wakes up peacefully and is unconcerned about her appearance.
So while this is going, be thinking about both of your U-Try boxes, direct and indirect characterization. And so you owe me 2, which means this is worth 4 assessment points, not just 2 like normal. And then turn it in once you've given me a good example for each one. Charge. Okay. Oh, weird. So maybe, could you possibly wait for like 5 minutes, but when I'm done giving instructions, and then I can send you to the library, and they can get you a new one. Yeah.
The fact that she said this shows that she doesn't have a full understanding of love yet and is very naive. Hi, me? Hi? You look beautiful. Thank you. You look beautifuler. I mean, not fuller, you know, fuller, but more beautiful. Thank you. So, this is what a party looks like.
Yes or no? Are they comfortable with each other at this point? No. And they didn't say that. They're not like Anna and Elsa feel awkward around each other. That would be boring. So they're showing that to us. That's indirect characterization.
It's warmer than I thought. This is when Anna and Elsa have their first real conversation in a long time. And Anna is acting kind of weird, which shows that she can be a bit awkward in some social circumstances.
She was scared. She didn't mean it. She didn't mean any of this. Tonight was my fault. I pushed her, so I'm the one that needs to go after her. Bring me my horse, please.
When Duke casts Elsa's character, it brings out a part of Anna that we haven't seen before. She defends her, which shows that she is loyal to her sister. This character trait is reinforced with the fact that she decides to go after Elsa herself.
Say again.
You have 3 different types of classes. You have 2 creative writing, 2 debate, and
Then 6th grade creative writing, which is different than this creative writing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, we can't. Goodbye, Anna.
Since Elsa hurt Anna last time, she decides that going back to this friendship is not possible. This shows that she cares about Anna. Elsa is caring and protecting her sister and doesn't want her to get hurt.
I don't take people places.
Let me rephrase that. Take me up the North Mountain.
In the scene, Anna fills a sack of materials at Cliff's off and politely demands to be taken up the mountain. The fact that she knew bringing the materials convinced him shows that she is resourceful, and the fact that she demands shows that she is determined to get to her sister.
Okay, what did they just indirectly show us about Anna? Like, what did we just learn about her personality in that moment? Because that's, like, a normal person wouldn't do that. So what are we indirectly learning about her? She just cut herself loose. She was facing a big monster. Take a guess. Somebody take a guess. Possibly. What else? Boom! Right there. Yep, she's brave. They're showing us she's brave without being like, hey, Anna's brave. Because that's not fun. Okay. Good. Thanks, June.
You're right. Just like a pillow.
When the rope Kristoff and Anna are attached, she was grabbed by the giant snowman. Anna does not hesitate to cut him free. This action shows how brave she is. So to overview, direct characterization tells the audience what the personality of the character is. Characters will also be revealed through indirect characterization. This type of characterization shows things that reveal the personality of the character. There are 5 different methods of indirect characterization. Looks, speech, relationships, actions, and thoughts. These characterization skills will assist you in understanding the many different characters you meet in the literature.
Okay, so let me hear like 2 of your examples and then we'll be done with direct and indirect characterization. I'm going to randomly call on people. So I am going, and I know it's painful, but I will give you an extra coin. Oliver Combs, can you tell me what you put for indirect characterization?
For indirect, so like they let you know what's going on, but they don't exactly tell you.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Okay, I like it. Thank you for sharing. Thanks for being brave. Cora, tell me what you have for indirect characterization. Okay, so Steele is going to help you out. Steele, thanks so much. Say that one more time, sorry. So that totally works for direct. Yep, because you're directly telling us that he has rusty blonde, which I love that you remembered colors and having interesting colors. But yeah, since you're directly saying that, then that wouldn't be indirect. But still, really nice try. I'm going to ask Sydney, what did you have for indirect?
I didn't say anything for indirect, but I said direct.
Okay, so tell me your for direct then.
Like when they tell you straight up and they don't have details.
Okay, yep, and then, okay, yep. And let's try, we're going to keep going until I get somebody. Owen, tell me what you've got for indirect. Okay. I'll come back to you in just a second. Let's go, Ollie. Ollie, what do you have for indirect? Ooh, Ollie, that's awesome. That's a gold star, in fact, which you may choose to be very brave and show off your gold star on your forehead, or just put it on your shirt, or whatever you want, really. But yeah, so Ollie, say that one more time really loud.
People must look up if they want to be.
What do we learn indirectly? Boom, he's tall, but without directly being like, he is tall. I have to look up to see his face. That's a cool, more creative way. Oh, and I'm coming back to you. What was yours for indirect? Didn't own any video games? Ooh, interesting. I like that one's, and that's another gold star one too. That one's a little more subtle. That might show the audience that it's not like they're not following the crowd, right? If I don't own any video games, that's a pretty normal thing, and so if I don't, I'm kind of doing my own thing. Levi, birthday boy.
Mine was Timothy really liked to make the joke, how's the weather up there?
So maybe because if I'm getting your indirect characterization correctly, does that mean Timothy might be kind of short, or if he's more on the fun-sized spectrum of things? Yeah, exactly. I was going for the euphemism, but yeah. Okay, guys, we are done officially with our vocab lesson.